a couple of days ago, I was considering rewatching Twin Peaks for that sort of surrealist, crazy vibe. But then the DNC gifted us with their online. They gifted us with their
so
online.
true.
And I was like, David Lynch definitely had a hand in this madness. But then I saw the song. And I was like, no, I don't think David Lynch would sully his name with this. And the thing is, I don't even know, as cringe and as crazy and as awkward as it was to watch, it could mimetically resonate with people, because a lot of the memes that are resonating with people these days are ones that are sort of rooted in like pathology and weirdness. So maybe this will take hold.
And if anything,
Yeah.
it was rooted in those things.
That Billy Porter thing reminds me of the videos that woman YouTube shooter made on YouTube. Where
Oh my God. You are so right.
Yes.
They're
yes,
exactly
it gave
like that.
me.
The woman who stormed the YouTube headquarters made
Yes.
videos
Yeah.
exactly
she's a
Videos
legend,
exactly like
and
that.
she's actually an up and coming. Well, she's dead.
Yeah.
No, I mean like her videos are like coming back as kind of like a bit of a meme, like a cheeky meme, because like she was a complete.
It definitely gave me creepypasta vibes. Like
Yes.
it gave me
had
like
that. I believe okay, so we talk about Sam Hyde a little bit on this show. I believe that like unintentionally it is the exact same video Sam Hyde would make to make fun of Black Lives Matter. I think that
Yeah.
it's basically like a Tim and Eric skit that could be interpreted as against Black Lives Matter in some
well, yeah, it was great. The whole DNC thing was insane, and like the Michelle Obama made a speech, and people were talking about it as if it was like the greatest oration in the history of
and
oration.
it was so
It was
like,
just so blasé, and then you had people on.
it was bland.
bland.
I would call it like nothing.
It was you people on the news were like, oh, it was like the best speech ever made, but just like, yes, queen, yes, to this like really bland speech that like I don't like. It said a whole lot of nothing. It was basically just Trump is an existential threat, and that's sort of the angle that they're pushing really hard. They're pushing really hard on the we love people of different identities and Trump is bad kind of angle, but in terms of policy, it's quite.
They haven't said a damn thing. The whole like Zoom call. So they called everybody a couple days ago, and they haven't mentioned policy yet. I mean, it's a very long remote meeting.
Yeah.
I think that they would get to that by now.
No, but you know that they love Zoom calls. Like these people just are happy
I
to
know.
have something
This
to
is
do.
the most Democrat possible Democrat
Yeah.
National Convention.
Yeah. But that's the thing is if the DNC is this surreal and crazy, like I wonder what the Republican one is going to look like. Like I'm excited to see how crazy that's going to be, but I'm also disappointed that it's online this year because it means Eric Andre can't go and
Yeah.
storm it. It means Eric Andre can't
I was
go.
literally watching that when I was in Scotland with my brother. Like the whole series of him going and messing around there it was just amazing.
I think that it's just going to be like InfoWars like superimposed in the background and like Trump screaming. It's just going to be crazy. It's just going to be
Well,
like,
if you're talking about like, even relatively successful, I guess it's not even a leftist meme. I know that Eric Andre is at least a social democrat from like his public, what he said about politics and whatever. But that whole, do you think that Margaret Thatcher was effectively utilizing girl power when she sent illegal paramilitary death squads to Northern Ireland when he asked, like,
Genuinely the perfect like, hey, identity only politics isn't enough.
Can you believe?
yeah,
that,
exactly.
Can you believe that Rosario Dawson went from fucking Eric Andre to Cory Booker?
Corey.
yes, I
fucking-
know.
How
Fucking
how
Booker.
fucking grades like that? What the fuck?
Rosario Dawson. He's this fucking like, you guys explain.
Cory Booker is a politician from New Jersey who managed to become a senator off the back of himself being the mayor of a city. And there was a horrific hurricane, which, I mean, this was a good thing that he did, but he did it on social media, which means he did a good thing for social media specifically. He let a bunch of people who were homeless because of this hurricane that was going on live in his house for a while. And he did it in a way that he made sure the entire country knew about it. And, you know, a few years later, mysteriously, he became a senator, probably from all of the goodwill that he generated.
That's crazy. I feel like
He's also really flip-floppy on his positions and everything.
He's bad.
And he's just not a good guy. Like, he reminds me of an Eric, and the way he talks is literally like an Eric Andre character.
Yes. It's okay. So Rosario Dawson went from dating the guy who comes up with the characters to the characters. Like that's the kind of downgrade. Like,
that's terrible. But I mean, I feel like that's like probably one of the only successful leftist memes, because it has been a success. It can be successfully reappropriated to talk about any bullshittery in like or neoliberalism within fucking the politics like that. Like, I saw it got well, not just that, but also class. I think I saw someone reappropriate it for Kamala Harris and all the prison, like, you know, truancy stuff that was going on with her and everything.
It's also to do with the fact that she's, it's a critique of the idea that everything women do equals feminism. So it is sort of rooted, because that's the thing that these liberals believe. It's like, oh, you're a woman, you farted, feminism. You're a woman, like you did something, just anything you do equals fucking feminism, and it's sort
literally having a period is seen as some kind of activism.
Yeah.
Really?
I've seen that.
Oh,
By
yeah.
who?
Like, especially with like TERFs for some reason, like they've really like politicized periods to the point where it's like I saw some TERF on YouTube like free bleeding all over herself while reading some kind of like book about feminism or something. It was pretty disturbing. My brain has like destroyed the memory.
I remember that.
I can understand wanting to take the stigma away from periods and have it not be this sort of gross, shameful secret that women have to sort of like deal with on their own. Tampons should and pads should also be fucking free, IMO or whatever, but like I don't understand why people take these sort of weird niche issues and like push them to the fucking forefront of like political discourse for attention and for it just doesn't make sense to me. It's ridiculous. And like the fact that there are those kinds of memes like really disturbs me, and it sort of shows how like the collective unconscious is like pretty fucking disturbed right now. I feel like the DNC was emblematic of the fact that like they are coming to terms with the fact that American democracy is a failure and sort of trying to paper over the fact that American democracy is a failure.
No,
basically.
I would agree. And I've also seen to some extent people sort of saying like the things that they saw at the DNC, this is the stuff that is going to get Trump elected. And I would just, it's not like, it's bizarre to me that people think that Trump could win or lose based on like some guy draped in weird cloth dancing in front of like a bad green screen. It's really weird to me that they think that this type of a thing has that kind of power. Because these people can't meme, and B, if it does become a meme, it's not going to be a thing that like affects how people vote. It has nothing to do with any of like people. The majority of people who vote are like working class and don't really pay any attention to Zoom calls where guys are dancing. Like nobody cares about that kind of thing in quote unquote real life. Like what they care about is like the stuff that affects them every day. And if either party can make a case that their guy is going to affect them in a positive way during all of this shit, that's what's going to win. And at the moment, like it kind of looks like neither of them really have particularly convincing case. So I don't really know who's going to win, but it's not going to be based on,
you know, I mean, like the dancing or the speaking or whatever. At most, the DNC is like evidence or a result or a signifier or something along those lines that the Democrats don't actually understand, like the people they're trying to appeal to in any way, rather than them like screwing up. It's downstream, not upstream.
I feel like it's you're right. I feel like you're right, but at the same time, and no, this is not to say that this is the linchpin, this is the thing that's gonna be the nail in the coffin type of thing. But I definitely think that this sort of aesthetics and these sort of iconography, they do influence people's. I mean, 2016, like the memes that were created definitely influenced the way that people voted during that time. But it's difficult to tell whether, like I was saying at the beginning, whether this sort of imagery is going to resonate, because what I see it as, it's either completely stupid and just out of touch and tone deaf, or it's like this sort of genius, like appropriation of these uncanny aesthetics. Because like Tim and Eric, for instance, like the whole thing that makes Tim and Eric funny is the fact that they're doing sort of public broadcast TV. And the reason why public broadcast TV is so uncanny and unsettling and weird to the point that it's humorous is because it looks like TV, but it's like janky. It's trying to look
The barriers
polished.
to entry are so low. People get in that don't know what they're doing, and they make these amazing things.
Yeah, they make these amazing. But but the thing is, the thing that makes it uncanny and unsettling is that it looks like TV, but it's janky, and there's this. It exists in that uncanny valley, which is why it's such a great vector for surrealist comedy. And I feel like that if the genius thing would be for them to be the genius thing would be them deliberately appropriating that imagery, making themselves look as uncanny and as inhuman as possible, because they really are uncanny and inhuman, and they're sort of doubling down on it. Like, it's difficult. I don't think
they're doubling down on anything, because
I didn't know.
I feel like they tried to go really official looking in like everything that wasn't that song. Like everything they did, they put people on locations, they put up, lighting, and a lot of the speeches were done against like these very like sort of elaborate backgrounds. Like they were intended to look like a convention center, even though they weren't in a convention center. And I think that like they want to appear normal, but they can't help but sort of also include these really surrealist, really strange like performances in it. And I think that there's an aspect of an expression of what they are that's just, when you said that they're doubling down on it, I think it's that they can't help but be that.
Like they are this totally alien, unrelatable group of people with some form of power, and it's much more of an expression of that rather than an attempt at like putting some kind of a message out there or finding something that people might be interested in, getting on board with.
And I think that that's also the difference between the Democrat memes and the Republican memes in the 2016 election, because like you had like Hillary Clinton putting out like her like sort of making a face with like a rainbow background and so clearly trying to be something, but like that's also like the purest possible expression of them is that they don't actually have anything and they're trying so hard to be something, whereas the Republican memes were so specifically pushing a message